welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are diving deep into a highly frustrating, heavily tactical clash between France and Paraguay. We're going to explore exactly what happened out there on the pitch, and honestly, more importantly, what this single grueling match tells us about the broader evolution of tournament football. We've got so many fascinating layers to unpack here. We're talking everything from literal pitch sabotage to boxing metaphors. Let's get right into it. Here's the game plan for how we'll break this down. We'll start with number 1, an ugly spectacle. Then 2, Paraguay's defensive dark arts. 3, France's test of patience. 4, the evolution of football. And finally, 5, looking ahead to Morocco. Section 1, an ugly spectacle, frustration on the pitch. Look, we have to acknowledge right up front. This match was incredibly difficult to watch. Observers and pundits were visibly fed up with the utter lack of offensive ambition from the Paraguayan side. It was literally described as everything people hate about the sport. And some even called it unfair to the World Cup and its fans. And why is that? Because, as the old saying goes, it takes 2 to tango to make a good game of football. And in this match, only one team actually showed up wanting to dance. And that flat-out refusal to play led us to this number, 70. It took a grueling 70 minutes of a 0-0 deadlock, just a complete, exhausting stalemate, before Kylian Mbappe finally broke through with a penalty to secure France's incredibly narrow 1-0 victory. For over an hour, it was an absolute war of attrition. Moving on to Section 2, Paraguay's defensive dark arts, the strategy of survival. To truly grasp this game, we have to look at why Paraguay played this way. They weren't just defending, they were playing this deep, psychological game. The goal? Keep it at 0-0 for as long as humanly possible to build pressure. They wanted to frustrate France's stars. They contested and complained about every single referee decision just to disrupt the flow. And incredibly, no joke, they even resorted to literal pitch sabotage. A player was actually seen digging a physical hole on the penalty spot to mess up the kick. It's wild. They absolutely refused to open up the game, basically using every dark art in the book to get under the skin of the French players and force an error. But we have to ask ourselves, why resort to these dark arts in the first place? Well, to be fair to Paraguay here, they just lacked the resources to match France's sheer talent. Their number one priority was simply finding a way to get a result, even if it meant playing incredibly ugly football. They knew for a fact that playing an open game against a top team leads to disaster. When they tried to go toe-to-toe and open up against the United States earlier, they got absolutely battered. If the US could do that to an open Paraguayan defense, just imagine what France would have done to them. So they completely shut up shop. This approach really highlights a core tactical reality. France's absolute greatest weapon is their transition game. For those who might not know, that's quickly turning defense into a rapid attack. When opponents leave themselves even a little bit open, France just destroys them in transition. By completely packing the bus and refusing to attack, Paraguay deliberately neutralized that devastating transition game. They just flat out refused to give France the space they needed to operate. But here is where the frustration from analysts actually peaked. The sheer historical lack of evolution. Back in 1998, Paraguay used these exact same defensive, frustrating tactics against France in the last 16. Fast forward 28 years to this tournament, and they are deploying the exact same copycat strategy. Analysts were literally joking that in the year 2046, 20 years from now, Paraguay will still be playing this exact same way. Seeing a team with genuinely talented South American players completely refuse to adapt or try something new over nearly 3 decades, that's what drove observers crazy. All right, Section 3, France's test of patience, the champion's burden. Let's look at how France actually handled this massive wall of defense, especially while carrying the heavy burden of expectations as the tournament favorites. I absolutely love this metaphor from our source material. France was compared to a champion boxer. They had to step into the ring, take those early defensive jabs, figure out exactly what this scrappy, frustrating challenger was trying to do, and then slowly, methodically wear them down. They couldn't just come out swinging wildly. They really had to feel out the fight. So how did they survive this test? Well, it really came down to a 3-step process. First off, they had to endure the intense heat out on the pitch, which was visibly draining the speed and energy of fast players like Mbappe and Dembele. Second, they had to heed Coach Deschamps' halftime advice. He basically told them, keep your time, don't fall for Paraguay's mental traps, and just stay patient. And third, they had to trust that their superior individual quality would eventually create a breakthrough. By not letting Paraguay get into their heads, they really proved their maturity. So, the absolutely crucial takeaway for France moving forward is represented by this number right here, 100%. You see, France is often their own worst enemy. We saw some sloppiness in the first half from key players. The big takeaway is that if they don't give 100% focus and effort right from the very first whistle, they are going to struggle against any team in this tournament. They simply cannot afford to coast.
Section 4. The evolution of football. Fear versus pride.
Zooming out from this single game, what we're really looking at is a massive battle of fear versus pride. On one side, you've got teams like Paraguay, playing with fear, packing the defense, refusing to attack, and ultimately getting sent home anyway. But on the other side, you have teams like Cape Verde, who showed everyone what it actually means to lose with pride. They played exciting front-foot football against giants, and they won the respect of the entire world, even in defeat. The evolution of modern football is demanding bravery. It's proving that going on the front foot isn't just far more respected by fans, it's increasingly more effective than trying to just defend your way to success. Finally, Section 5. Looking ahead to Morocco, the next tactical challenge. Now we have to look at what awaits this French squad in their next matchup. Because, guys, it's going to be a completely different beast. France is walking into a highly anticipated, truly special game. It's a matchup filled with deep emotional complexities, this incredible mix of intense rivalry and genuine friendship between the players. Tactically speaking, France must be fully tuned in. They cannot afford that first half sloppiness we've seen from them because, make no mistake, Morocco is a definitively better, much more capable side than Paraguay. So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. Morocco is a much better team. But can they defend in that deeply compact, incredibly frustrating manner that Paraguay did? Because that isn't Morocco's natural style. If Morocco tries to play an open, natural game against France, will they suffer the same fate as others who left themselves exposed to that lethal transition game? Or does Morocco have the sheer quality to step into the ring and finally beat the champion boxer at their own game? It's going to be a fascinating watch. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep your eyes on how these tactics evolve in the matches to come.